My work as a dietitian has mostly been in the prenatal nutrition space. And that has ranged from clinical work, one-on-one work with clients, to public policy work. That's really how I got heavily involved in gestational diabetes work, was with the California Diabetes and Pregnancy Program, which many people know as Sweet Success for short. And also in consulting, research, just basically any capacity that you can work in the prenatal space, I have worked.
Mm-hmm.
And in all of those areas, it just became apparent to me that the guidelines are not necessarily based on the most up-to-date evidence. They don't always work in all clinical cases. And this definitely became apparent to me in my clinical work with gestational diabetes, because like a good dietitian, I followed the guidelines. And so I'd put my clients or patients, whoever is coming to see me, on the conventional diet, which happens to be relatively high in carbohydrates. But, I was trusting that there was good evidence behind these guidelines. But what happened really surprised me. I mean, people's blood sugar often got worse. And I was just seeing astronomically high rates of requiring insulin and medication, when I really questioned if we had more wiggle room in going lower carb than what the guidelines were. And that is what ultimately kind of got me really fired up about this whole thing, and really deep into the research to uncover, how are the guidelines for prenatal nutrition set? Are they based on solid evidence or not? Is there room for improvement? And ultimately with gestational diabetes especially, there's a lot of room for improvement. And I wanted to get this information out in a bigger way, which is why I originally came out with Real Food for Gestational Diabetes in 2015, and also my online course, which I've had the pleasure of supporting you through your pregnancy in that course as well, because I saw that we really needed to get this information out kind of on a grassroots level, because it wasn't going to work from like a top-down policy level. I worked enough in public policy to understand that there's a lot of bureaucratic roadblocks to pushing for change. And so I knew we needed to kind of do it from the bottom up. And ultimately it's been really exciting to support women on having healthier pregnancies, to see some guidelines shift. Like the Czech Republic has updated their gestational diabetes guidelines for their whole country, and they've dropped the mandatory minimum requirement of carbohydrates and instead put in a max cap, which is interesting.
Incredible.
And I'm hopeful that we'll see more change in other countries as well.